Aloha, children of the night, and welcome to the Tiki Goth Club. Today I am in a place that's near and dear to my heart, standing next to a guy who's near and dear to my heart. I am in Vancouver, BC, and this is Rod Moore. Now, a lot of you might know Rod Moore from his incredible tiki bar, the Shameful Tiki Room. The reason why the Shameful Tiki Room has a soft spot for me and Vancouver is it's where I got my inspiration to start my blog. I literally started my blog over in the Grouse Inn, over in North Vancouver. But anyway, long time ago. That was like 2016. Now it's 2024.
Yeah.
And in the middle somewhere there, Rod came up with an idea to start another bar. It was called the Dark Manor. And Rod, what was the Dark Manor all about?
I think mostly inspired by Disneyland's Haunted Mansion. So it's meant to be a haunted themed bar, but not in the sense that you'd go there and, scare the pants off you. You'd go there and you'd get this sort of, I don't want to use the word kitschy so much, but kind of the kitsch of it. Like you'd think, oh, it's fun, like fun themed cocktails, lots of great decor, like Shameful Tiki, except more Haunted Mansion. When you go on the Haunted Mansion ride, you don't actually get scared. It's just fun. Yeah, the Dark Manor was kind of meant to be in that vein. It's like it's fun. It's tongue in cheek. We take what we're doing seriously, but we're not taking ourselves so seriously.
It's funny now that you say that, Rod. Isn't that how tiki kind of should be too?
Absolutely.
So,
Isn't that how everything should be?
A little bit of fun,
right.
Because there's some people out there, and you know this too. There's people out there that are very serious about tiki, and it should be fun. But the thing that I always loved about tiki was there was always this sense of like danger and mystery. To like my favorite tiki bars are the ones that are dark. You're going in there, you might, like what the hell's going on? You have to adjust your eyes, like Frankie's Tiki
Things
Room.
burst into flames.
Yeah, you're seeing light, flames going up.
Thunder effects and stuff, yeah.
And you're walking in, you're like, what the hell? What am I going to make it out of here alive?
I think Dark Manor had a little bit of that too. Serious, but a little bit of mystery. You come in and we had backstories for everything. So there's a fake stairwell that we had built on one wall.
Yes, you did.
We had the doors to nowhere, which currently are now over there. We had this.
Now the doors to nowhere goes to the modern bartender.
We could cut a hole in the wall and just make it go to the other side of the store. Yes, totally.
And by the way, actually, we are in this is Chinatown, right? We're on Pender Street, and Rod's store, the Modern Bartender, is literally next door. And actually, just real quick, like, what is the Modern Bartender, so people know?
Cocktail bar supplies for home users, and even bars and restaurants, commercial places too. So we, especially right now, we have a very great crew of people running the store and working in it.
Yeah.
So we have a very strong connection to all the bars and restaurants, and they. I always think it's really cool when, Canucks Entertainment was here today and they bought a bunch of stuff, and, some of the great bars in town will run in to buy stuff and, glassware to hotels. And then people come in and go, oh, I'm building a tiki bar and I need a bunch of supplies, just whatever. It's the only store like it in the city. So we kind of, after what it's been 13 years, we kind of cater
Has
to
it
the whole
been
city.
13 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually the Modern Bartender was your first venture, even before the Shameful Tiki Room. When did the Shameful Tiki Room open up?
2013.
2013?
Yeah, the 11th anniversary went by in last March.
Because you built that bar yourself.
Yeah.
All of it, by hand.
I build all my own things, but I have help. There's always people that are helping with different things. Trying to do everything yourself is a terrible idea. But it after a year and a half, it really started to hit some tipping points where it got busy, and then it got busier, and then it was unmanageably busy, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm literally paying a person to stand at the front door and tell people they can't come in. This seems wrong somehow. So Rhett, who was managing at that time, came up with an idea saying, why don't we do 2-hour turns? You get to come here for 2 hours. That's long enough anyway, because you get messy after that. And then you've got a reservation, so people know to show up, and we know we're full all night long, and we're not turning as many people away. And that was probably the greatest idea ever, because what it's turned into is now everybody knows how to get in. You make a reservation. You can just show up, but people aren't mad at us anymore because they know it's like, well, it's a bit of a crapshoot, but maybe you get in, maybe you don't. But it fixed that problem.
Yeah.
So
when did you decide? What made you decide to be like, you know what, I want to start a different bar? Like, what made you? And you just mentioned what the Dark Manor was, but what made you decide to start to build another bar? Why not another tiki bar?
Well,
because you were doing so well with the tiki bar.
I did that in Toronto. I built another tiki bar in Toronto, and all ego aside, when you're kind of a creative person and you constantly get these awkward itches to go do things, and it's like, well, go do it. Like, figure it out. Go do it.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I've done a couple tiki bars. Like, I kind of want to do something different that also appeals to me.
Yeah.
And the Dark Manor idea seemed like, oh, this is going to be really cool. It was really cool. It's just the wrong time, wrong place, wrong something. But
you were saying it was kind of, you're using the Haunted Mansion ride as the inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you think made the Dark Manor different than, like, say, because there is goth bars, right? There are. I mean, you couldn't be the first person who, like, made a bar that's, like, creepy.
I don't think so, but I think it was certainly nothing that this city had ever seen before.
Yeah.
It was unusual. Like, there's a couple other places that sort of touch on that, but they're just neighborhood watering holes. Whereas Dark Manor was like, no, this is a cocktail bar with a bit more of, I wouldn't say fancy, but sit down food menu kind of thing. And it's not a dive bar, and it's not just a couple of gag elements. It's like, no, it's fully invested. Like, do you want to sit in the captain's quarters? It was, you got to be into this. But I think if we'd done it in Gastown or Los Angeles, it would have killed it.
When did you start building the Dark Manor?
2018, and we opened in 2018, if I remember, and we closed in 2019.
1 year.
It didn't last a year. It just happened to cross over January 1st.
And the thing that was crazy about it is I stopped in and visited you while you and Monica were, like, working on the bar. And I was talking to you, and you're like, yeah, this used to be a Chinese restaurant. Not like the full-on, but like a Chinese restaurant, like a corner, and, like, you kind of go in there.
Been there for a long time.
Yeah.
There were two brothers or something that barely spoke English. It looked like they hadn't cleaned the kitchen in 45 years.
I mean, the place looked like a Chinese restaurant.
Yeah.
And you
came when it was that?
Yeah. Well, you were hanging. I remember you were, like, hanging up, like, whatever those things are for the ceiling.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We were putting in new panels.
I mean, some of the stuff was hung up, but, like, I could see where you're going with it, but it still looked like. I'm like, okay.
Oh, this is good. You asked earlier about photos. I'll send you some great before, and then the beginning phases where we're ripping up the carpet, and it was disgusting. But
yeah, and I'm like, okay, cool. Well, I mean, I had faith in you because I knew the Shameful Tiki Room was so great. But me and a bunch of other people came up from the States, and I remember like when I first walked in, Rod, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it because it literally felt like you were in this, like, Victorian living room, and we sat in, like, that giant dinner table, and there was like a fireplace and everything like that.
The fireplace and the big boat artwork that was back there.
Yeah.
That one day I literally said to Monica, I'm like, I really want to find one of those really big pieces. That's actually over there now.
Yeah.
And I want this big old, sailing ship. I want this to look like art from the 1800s. And 10 minutes later, she's like, I found it on Craigslist. I'm like, okay, seriously? And I look at it, I'm like, holy crap, that's it. It's the right size. It's exactly what I wanted. Like, sometimes if you want something, you just have to verbalize it and it shows up. But that room was really fun to build. Like, I made bookshelves and found all kinds of old books and put wax on everything so it looked old and everything. Like, it was a lot of work.
When you were building it, did you use any of the skills or the ideas that you used to make a tiki bar to make this?
Mm-hmm. All those skills are transferable, I think.
How so?
Anytime you're essentially making a room that, in a sense, is just a giant prop, the thatch and bamboo and matting and all that stuff, it's all stuff that you unroll and glue up to the wall. Like, it's all fake in a way, right? Like, you're not actually out in the tropics or whatever.
Yeah.
And in that case, it was just a giant prop, like I wanted to build some light up windows, so you build a fake wall, and you build everything in behind it and figure it out, and lighting and sound and visuals, it's all transferable, except instead of bamboo, it was like old looking wallpaper and stuff.
And one thing I've always learned when it comes to like some of the better tiki bars are the ones that are fully immersive. Mm-hmm. Ones where, just like you said, you walk in, you're no longer in the city that you're in, or whatever like that. Like one of my first tiki bars was like Holly Paley, and it's like you go in there and it feels like you're in a tiki hut.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And just how it is, it's unbelievable. And the same thing with the Dark Manor. You walk into that, and when you walked into the Dark Manor, you felt like you were in literally like on the first floor of like a haunted house.
The immersive thing you're talking about is what I'm always after.
And it was fully immersive. Yeah. And that's the thing. And I think if it wasn't fully immersive, it wouldn't have been the same thing. But the fact that it was like, you go in, that's it, is what put it over the park. I mean, this, like you were saying, like, sadly, it didn't last long. But as far as I'm concerned, it was a success because I think you achieved what you wanted to create.
Yeah.
Like, as like you consider yourself an artist, right?
Yeah.
Well, you created. So what would you call it? Like a living art piece?
I agree with you, and actually, I've only just kind of figured this out. You know, like you and I are both musicians, and sometimes when you release music and it seems like the entire world just couldn't care less, I've kind of come to this understanding now that doesn't matter. You're doing it because you need to let it go through you, and you need to bring it to life, and then you move on. And if nobody cares, nobody cares. And the Dark Manor was maybe a fairly expensive way to figure that out, but didn't break me. So
no, it adds to your legacy.
Well,
the legacy of Ron Moore.
Well, great. I'll tell you this. I have no regrets about doing it.
Yeah.
I never did while I was doing it, and I didn't when it immediately, right after we decided to close. I had no regrets. It was like we all, as a group, tried a thing, and for reasons we may or may not understand, it didn't pan out, but it didn't destroy me financially, and it was a very interesting creative project. And I think everybody that was involved, like I say, Rhett was part of the bar team that created the drinks, and they all worked really hard, and Daniel was in the kitchen working really hard trying to figure out the food, and it was a labor of love. So when it's done, you're like, this is a really cool thing. And the best thing I'm taking out of it now is that your interest in it, even talking about it to this day, means it meant something to you.
Big time.
People still, like, if we do anything on our Facebook page, and it's been years now since it closed, right? 5 years.
Oh my God.
If we do something on the Facebook page, we get littered with messages because these people haven't gone away. They're like, are you opening again? Are you opening again? Are you doing a pop-up? Are you doing a pop-up? What's happening? Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, where were all you people when we were, but without making it about that. Like,
it would be funny if everyone's like, well, you were on Fraser Street.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I don't want to do that thing where it's like, I'm mad at you guys because you didn't show up and we failed. It's like, no, that's not the point. It's like, it's so great to see that there's some kind of ongoing thing still around it. Like, people didn't forget about it. People that didn't make it sometimes tell us, like, when are you doing your next pop-up? Because we do pop-up in this space.
And that's where we're at. And actually what we'll do here in a couple minutes is we'll take a little tour of the pop-up.
Great.
And show the kind of like some of the bones of it.
Yeah.
The Tiki Goth Club is way more than just this YouTube program. It's also a club that you can join. For $15, you can become a member of the Tiki Goth Club. You get your own membership card with your own number. I'll send you a couple stickers and a pin. I also have shirts for sale, patches, and glasses. If you're interested in any of this, head over to my website, tikigothclub.com, and everything's there for you. The Tiki Goth Club now has an official fanzine. It's called the Tiki Nomicon. It's chock filled with articles written by actual Tiki Goth Club members, articles written by myself. It talks about news, things that are going on in the Tiki Goth Club, and It can be all yours for $5 plus $5 in shipping and handling. Head over to tikigothclub.com to get your copy today.